Hello, my name is Shelby Marie Edwards. I'm the Executive Director of the Charlottesville Public Housing Association of Residents, also known as FAR. FAR is a not-for-profit organization that is dedicated to advocating for and with public housing residents. We are entirely governed by public housing residents and one Section 8 resident. As the duly recognized and federally mandated representative of all residents of public housing, we work closely but are separate from the Charlottesville Redevelopment and Housing Authority, who are our community partners that we appreciate so much. We have four focus areas at FAR, including our FAR Internship Program, which is a paid civic engagement opportunity for all residents 18 and older. Secondly, we have our focus area of Residents for Respectful Research, or R3. We believe that residents have the right to participate in the research being done at all levels, and this is done in partnership with UVA's Equity Center. Next, we have community organizing and oral histories, which is the bread and butter as far as community organizing goes at our organization. And last, but certainly not least, we have housing redevelopment, which most people are familiar with. So today we are going to be talking about board service. And a little bit, I'm going to talk about some of the openings that we have, which includes openings on the CRHA Board of Commissioners. But first and foremost, I'm going to pass it on over to Emily. What does it mean to be on a board? Can you talk to us a little bit about it?
Sure. Being on a board of directors is really important because basically you're helping an organization run. Any nonprofit and various forms of government have to have a board, and those boards usually need to be democratically elected and open. And by serving on a board, you are investing in something that you care about and helping that organization be on the field, like help them to operate and to give your input into what they do.
Amazing. So my next question is actually for Joy. How do you believe serving on a board educates and empowers residents, or both? Yeah. Have you ever felt like being on a board has empowered you or that you've learned anything from it?
I learned a lot. The empowerment piece comes from how you carry it and how you enlighten others. But I've learned a lot from serving on boards, like how you can help to get a policy change or pass, how you vote on it, how you move and second and vote or abstain or vote no. That's one of the most important thing about serving on a board is knowing that you don't have to vote yes with everybody. You can vote no, but if you don't know whether or not to say yes or no, you can abstain, because that abstention will go with whether it loses or whether it wins. But I have come to understand better about abstaining is that if it's something you feel strongly about, you just vote no.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so those are some of the, and when you talk about the empowerment thing, just knowing how to operate on a board when there are things that needs to be voted on, and how to work on policies or how to help to organize. Those are the things. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I guess I'll just touch on board participation is so important for a lot of reasons. I mean, like Miss Joy just said, right? We want to make sure that residents are actively involved in policymaking. There's another particular board that I'm thinking of that I know you could go off, but like the CDBG board, or that committee. Why would it be important for a resident, for example, to serve on that group?
It's important for poor people, marginalized people, or low income, whichever word you want to use, but to serve on that, because that's the only funding that is really designated for poor people to help to revitalize their community.
And what does CDBG stand for again?
Community Development Block Grant. And every city has it. Most, our city likes to use our CBDG dollars to build sidewalks, but sidewalks can be built with capital money, not CBDG dollars. Now, CBDG dollars can help to build like learning centers, and it can help to revitalize schools and, some homes or different things. But building sidewalks, even though they're important to the neighborhood, capital money is there to do that within any city you live in. And CBDG comes in two formulas. 20% is for social activity, which means like programs and stuff, but most of it is bricks and mortar. The other 80% is bricks and mortar.
Thank you. Emily, did you want to add anything? I was going to babble about like the different kinds of boards or different positions. I don't know if you want to pick up on that.
Sure. I also just wanted to add the value of people's own personal experiences. At Legal Aid Justice Center, we call that lived experience. And it's so important on a group like the CDBG task force, because the other people on that task force have most likely not lived in a lower income neighborhood. They don't know what it's like to live in public housing. They don't know what it's like to live in your particular neighborhood. And you can really help educate them. And it matters a lot because they're making decisions that affect low-income people directly. And it should affect low-income people directly by improving their lives. But if they don't have input, then they're not going to make the decisions that you might want to see.
Absolutely. I'm actually taking a peek at the city website, and on August 5th, so that's about a week away, applications are due for the Charlottesville Redevelopment and Housing Authority Board, as well as the Police Civilian Oversight Board. So those are just two examples of boards that folks can apply to. And I 100% agree with Emily. I think that sometimes when we think about board service, that you have to have a particular amount of experience, and your experience that you bring to the table is so valid. I mean, who, to Emily's point, is a more expert than a resident of their neighborhood than a resident of the neighborhood?
Yep, exactly. And so many of the people involved don't have that experience. So they really need to be turning to the folks from the community. And I know in Charlottesville, there's so many people who feel like they have been harmed or their ancestors have been harmed by the government's actions. And we really have an opportunity now, and I think a responsibility to try to change that. And serving on a board, especially if you're on the Housing Authority Board or a city committee or the FAR board, those are all boards that really impact the quality of life for Black people in Charlottesville. And it is time for things to get a lot better. So if you care about that, I think walking the walk, in addition to talking the talk, is really what's needed. And stepping up to serve on a board is a really great way to do that.
So as far as current board openings, and obviously this was recorded on July 27, 2022, so the vacancies might be different, but some of the openings include Board of Architecture Review. We also have the Community Policy and Management Team, Joint Board of Directors, which we should high key see if we can find some folks to be on that one. Jefferson Area Community Criminal Justice Board, the Piedmont Virginia Community College Board. We also have the Tree Commission, if you're into trees, among other things. And those are just a few. And then there are others like the Planning Commission. It's not listed, but that at some point we'll have folks. And the Planning Commission plays a huge role in shaping what Charlottesville looks like in zoning and things of that nature.
Definitely. I think the CRHA board is one to really underscore, because probably a lot of the people listening to this live in public housing, and being able to be part of a board of directors that really sets the policy and sets priorities for your neighborhoods. It's an awesome opportunity. And we need people who have the lived experience and the insights that come with being a public housing resident to step up these seats.
Yeah. And I also think it's worth documenting, one, because we're talking about it now, but also for the sake of history, that CRHA right now is the most resident centered it has ever been. Is that a fair statement, Emily?
Sorry, yeah, definitely. Mhm.
Well, does anybody have anything else that they want to add about board or board service? I don't know if we want to talk about appropriate ways for board members to interact with staff members.
So what I would say is, I think that there is a springboard can be to be on your neighborhood association board.
Yeah.
Most people don't join their neighborhood association board, but that can be a springboard for other boards. So I would encourage folks that if there is a resident association, a homeowners association, and that you try to find out if there is one and start attending and join. And so, yeah, so that's what I would like to say. A neighborhood association board is have some basics of what another, like city council or the planning commission or social service board. That's another board too that people should be on. It's resident associations or neighborhood association. They kind of run a little bit differently, but they have similar ways of running. They have a general way of how things are run. Then when you start getting on some of these other boards, there's some more technical stuff that is not just in a neighborhood association meetings.
That's a great point. And this is such an important time for the neighborhood associations because of the changes that are happening in how the city uses its land and uses like what they allow to be built on people's property. And the neighborhood associations will have a lot to do with that, and giving input in the next year or so. It's really, really a great time.
Yep, Emily, that is so true. And I would like to think that each board is like its own snowflake. It comes with its own things that you're in charge of and responsible of, but it's still important either way. If you're, maybe serving on a neighborhood association sounds still a bit too much, but you still want to be involved. BAR has this amazing internship program that I talked about earlier, and we will be taking applications later this year. So if you are a current public housing resident or someone who's low income, please let us know. We would love to have you engage with us for our 4 to 6 month civic engagement opportunity. That is our FAR internship program. It's one of our longest running programs at FAR. Also, if that wasn't exciting enough, FAR also is active on most social media websites. So you can follow us at FAR Seville on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, as well as LinkedIn, if you would like. But yeah, before we wrap up, is there anything anybody else would like to add?
No, I also would like to say it's not just the neighborhood association. If you feel like you don't want to be in that lane, then PTO meetings are another one. They're a little bit like, they're not as technical as city council and the planning commission are. And then you have PTOs, and you also have like other kinds of organizations within the school systems, or even at your church, that you can get a springboard into bigger things. Because I know that, and I can tell you, even though I've been doing this for a while, there are still boards that I that can appears to be intimidated, but I stick it out. I mean, it's like I ain't going nowhere, especially if it's a board that that I really want to learn from. So just it has to be a commitment.
Yeah, it's a good point too, that it really is a great learning experience and a really great networking experience. Like, I think if people are interested in building their resumes or making connections with other people, serving on a board is a great thing for that. Both of those.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks y'all so much. If you're hearing this and you haven't already turned in your ballots, if you're a public housing resident, please get those in. We are so excited. And like I said, thank you so very much for tuning in to episode 3 of Public Housing Speaks. Why should I be on a board? We plan to host another one very soon. Thank you so very much.
Okay.